Hello there, welcome to the fourth episode of the Paradero Podcast. As usual, I'm joined by my co-host Suku. I'm your host Ramon, and we have a decent show for you today with various topics. Today's menu is this one. We'll talk about the loss versus Pumas Unam this past Friday night. Also about the draw 2-2 on Wednesday versus Cruz Azul in the Copa MX group stage. After that, we'll go into the women's team win versus Querétaro last Saturday. And a quick look into their next matchup. They will travel to León to face La Fiera on Monday. The Rafa Marquez news are also a part of this episode, as he was named the sporting president of Atlas last Tuesday. Finally, we'll close out this episode with a preview of the Lobos versus Atlas game on week 4 of the Apertura 2018 season this Saturday at Puebla. As usual, we're very excited, very happy to keep bringing you these episodes. This is the fourth one we've been doing consecutively. How are you doing today, Suku?
Fine. Very sad about the men's team results this past week, but the girls result this Saturday. I mean, they gave us a little bit of happiness throughout the week. So yeah, it's like 50-50, sad and happy.
Yeah, they've started to click somehow. They've started to finish all their opportunities. We'll talk about that more later. We'll start about talking about the two games Atlas had on Friday and on Wednesday. The loss against Pumas at the Jalisco 3-0, and the draw versus Cruz Azul after going down 0-2 in that game. Cruz Azul lost a player because he got sent off with a red card, and Atlas somehow managed to claw back into the game and get a draw. What are your thoughts about those two games?
Oh, definitely the first one. The first half was a roller coaster. People was just started to buy their beers sitting down. Then the penalty came in for Atlas. Octavio Rivero couldn't score that time.
Yep.
And then, just like an horror movie.
Yeah, just like an horror show. I don't know. Everything went downhill from that point. The first chance Pumas got, that free kick, a terrible play again by Pepe Hernandez, giving the rebound to one of the Pumas players who scored pretty much on their first opportunity of the game. Like 5 minutes later, Lorenzo Reyes got sent off after a harsh tackle. From that free kick opportunity, Pumas scored the second one. So before the 25-minute mark, Atlas was already down 0-2 with 10 men. So yeah.
Yeah, that in that point, what the game was pretty much over.
I mean, Atlas tried. They tried to get into the game again, but it's tough playing with one less man. I think.
I mean, this Atlas fans almost the Estadio Jalisco almost sold out.
Yep.
That it was the first minutes. It was a
Yeah, I
pretty.
mean, it's bad for the fans. I mean, they've always been there through the bad and the worse, and that game just was very disappointing.
Speaking of fans, they were booing the keeper Pepe Hernandez that
Yeah,
game.
they were booing pretty much everyone. I think. I mean, they are desperate. I mean, people talk about Atlas fans not leaving. They're not fans of Atlas because of the titles they've got and something, because they are fans because of the passion and stuff. But at some point, I mean, it just gets annoying.
Yeah, it gets really annoying.
to close out that game. I mean, Matias Elostiza, an ex-Atlas player, got into the game and scored the last one. The fans cheered for him. They cheered his name, and yeah, it was a very disappointing game. I mean, they haven't scored in the Apertura so far. They have 3 games, 0 goals.
And
And
and and to put things in worse matter, the player who got ejected from Atlas was what I think
yeah, one
is
of
the best player on
he's
the field, Lorenzo Reyes.
yeah he's the guy who gives the stability. I mean, Atlas hasn't got scored that. I mean, if I'm remembering all the Atlas goals they have allowed, they've come from set pieces, from corner kicks. I mean, Lorenzo Reyes, I think, has give the team some stability, some defensive stability. I mean, he cannot mark every single player on free kicks and corners. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the players they're gonna miss this Saturday versus Lobos. Let's go to the second game they played this past week. They traveled to Mexico City to face Cruz Azul at the Azteca in the Copa MX group stage. Cruz Azul, I mean, they've been playing. They're one of the hottest teams in the league. They haven't lost a game. They even haven't draw a game just before this one versus Atlas. They won all their previous ones, and the game started very similarly to the America game. I mean, just the only difference was that at the 28th minute, this Domingos player from Cruz Azul got sent off, and from that point, I think pretty much everyone thought that Atlas would have a better chance. I think to win the game.
Yeah, and like 2 minutes passed, and Cruz Azul scored the first goal. Caraglio.
Another ex-player scoring against Atlas. Caraglio with that. That was a that was a nice goal. I mean,
Yeah, he looked so powerful
on
with
that header, yep.
that header almost outside the box.
And the guy who who crossed who crossed that ball into the head of Caraglio, Alvarado, was the player that scored the second one in in a play that he made look Gallagher a little bit bad. He couldn't mark Alvarado correctly, and Alvarado scored the second one in like 5 minutes later, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Atlas was in another position of being down quickly, and all that mental toughness that the team supposed to have was tested on this game, I think. And I mean, after that, the team just looked like exactly like in the America game, lost with no idea. Ricky Alvarez was a no-show. Personally, he did not play well. And
Except the assist he
yeah, yeah,
gave
yeah.
Octavio
That
Rivero
was like
at the end of the
that was
first
like
half.
the only play. But I mean, that's just Ricky Alvarez at this point of his career. I mean, he's gonna be very inconsistent, and somehow I don't know where he's gonna make an assist, and that. So yeah, talking about that play, I mean, right after halftime, Ricky Alvarez assist Octavio Rivero, who was on the area and had the chance to score his first goal with Atlas, and he did not miss. Well, I mean, with help from the goalkeeper Allison from Cruz Azul, and the game was 2-1 at halftime. I mean, with some positive mindset for Atlas looking into the second half, I think. And then on the second half, Atlas. I mean, Espinosa brought this young kid, Christopher Trejo, who has been playing, yeah, decently, to put more pressure on the Cruz Azul defenders. I think for like 10 minutes, Cruz Azul couldn't get past their half side of the pitch. Atlas couldn't capitalize on that dominance, and then Cruz Azul slowly started to get a little bit more a grip on the ball, I think. And yeah, like 20-15 minutes before the end of the match, an individual play by Calderon a weird cross. Again, another mistake by the Cruz Azul goalkeeper, who just watched how the ball was traveling in his area, and that ball find the head of Octavio Rivero, who scored his second one of the game to give us that 2-2 draw. At some point, I thought they could actually won the game in those last 15 minutes, but they just couldn't find another clear chance, I think.
Yeah, the second goal, the second Octavio Rivero goal was, I think, a little bit too late.
I mean, it wasn't too late because they got the draw,
but yeah, they had less than 15 minutes to score another goal. Cruz Azul,
Cruz looked tired at the end. I mean,
yeah,
playing like an hour with a man down.
yeah. Garnica came in. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, Garnica hasn't been playing so good so far in this season. I don't know what's.
He looks desperate.
Yeah, I don't know what's the with him.
I mean, the team plays. That when the team is lost and doesn't have that offensive
Clearness. Yeah.
clearance, he looks desperate to make plays. He almost
like too, I don't know, hyperactive. I don't know what kind of word we could use, but yeah, he hasn't been so beneficial for the team. I think in the games he has played in the league stage and on the cup stage, I think. And yeah, I mean that draw, it's some positive stuff in which they can build upon the several games that are still left to play on the season. And
yeah, the first loss of the the first game loss of the Copa, it's gonna hurt
yeah,
Atlas.
I think that's gonna be the one that gets them eliminated if they don't manage to win at Zacatepec. That's gonna be a tough game. I think they will need to win both of the last games with Cruz Azul at the Jalisco and away versus Zacatepec. We'll talk about more on the men's team a little bit more later. Let's go to the women's team. They had a tremendous 5-0 victory versus Querétaro this past Saturday. Suku was there covering that game. What do you thought about the game?
I mean, Atlas, the Atlas team finally explode this game. At the first 15 minutes, they missed some 2-3 chances at the Querétaro's goal, and everyone thought, oh man, it's the same history of the last 3 games. They're not gonna score, and then a counter of the rival team is gonna crush Atlas fans' dreams. At the 17th minute, Ana Garcia scored the first goal. Then 20 minutes later, Adriana Iturbide scored the second goal. Almost at the end of the first goal, almost at the end of the first half, Adriana Iturbide scored her second goal, and Atlas went to the halftime break with a 3-0 lead, which was, I mean, that game was pretty much over. Then second half, Claudia Ibarra scored the fourth goal, and Ana Garcia again scored the fifth goal of the match, and definitely Atlas could have scored more goals that game. Querétaro was just trying. I mean, Querétaro was almost not trying. Well, at the end of the game, Querétaro substitutions almost Querétaro subs gave them a little bit of playtime almost, and that was it. It was Atlas dominant. Uh, for the first time, it shows how Atlas squad is so powerful.
Yeah.
Definitely, both of the strikers, Adriana Iturbide and Claudio Ibarra, are I mean are one two of the best strikers there in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't played that bad in the first games they had. I actually thought they should have won the Chivas and the Tigres game. They play better than their counterparts. And yeah, I mean, just by having scored 7 goals in the last 2 games, it's gonna help them very much. They will travel to Leon for the next game. They play on Monday. Yeah, against La Fiera at 7 p.m. Yep.
7 p.m. against La Fiera.
I haven't seen much about Leon. What do?
Leon is again as Querétaro is not a powerful team. I think Atlas has to win that game, especially with the three last matches.
Yeah, Leon. It's at the bottom of the group too, and they have lost their 3 games already.
Yeah, they have lost the 3 games. Atlas needs to win to recover the first two. The first three. Well, I mean, the tie with Tigres was good. The first 2 losses.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the table, they played the top 3 teams already. They play Morelia, they play Chivas, and they play Tigres. Looking, I mean, they haven't played Monterrey or Santos or Necaxa or León. I mean, they could take advantage of a much more soft schedule.
Yeah,
going
definitely
forward.
with this season rule changes, with the newest addition, the newest team added to the league, which is divided in 2 groups. 4 of each group passes to the Liguilla for the first time. They have really good chances to pass to make the Liguilla for the first time.
Fifth right now. I mean, and they have a decent goal difference thanks to that 5-0.
Yeah, it's important. It's important in this league. That there are still teams that don't look professional, like Querétaro's case, and I mean in the other group you look Cruz Azul, who almost every game gets pulled,
trashed. Yeah.
gets trashed. I mean,
Veracruz. I mean,
yeah, those games are important to score as many goals as possible in order to get a good goal difference, and maybe at the end that could be the difference between make it to the Liguilla or not, or play the Liguilla the first place in the other group, or face
face a not that tough team on the league in case they can make it.
I think in Liguilla it's not I think it's one game, elimination game.
Yep.
So
Not so sure.
I'm not so sure with the newest rule changes. If that's the case, I mean, if you make it to Liguilla, it's almost a coin toss. You can have a great game and beat whoever they put.
I think they would like to play at home.
Oh yeah,
But
that's.
they still have some homework to do.
Yeah, I mean, playing it at the Jalisco could be a big difference,
Yep.
especially if the other team, the girls are not they don't like pressure. I mean, Jalisco almost always has had that
Yep.
pressure thing to the visitors.
Yeah, let's go to the Rafa Marquez news. I mean, this Tuesday he was announced as the newest sporting president of Atlas. He's gonna be taking care of pretty much every single thing about Atlas in terms of the product. The only thing he's not gonna be like taken care of, it's the money issue. In terms of bringing players or selling players, he's gonna be uh, like debating with the board of directors about bringing X or Y player. What do you think about that news?
Uh, I have well, everyone has who everyone who's not Atlas fans. They have their doubts about Rafa preparation to have that position in the club. But I mean, as an Atlas fan, is great to have his face in charge of all of those things. Uh, I think for the first time we have someone who really cares about the team, who will do anything to make Atlas win.
Yeah, one of the most curious things Raf has been talking very, very clear is that he's trying to bring some of the Barcelona philosophy over to Atlas. I mean, from all those years he played for Barcelona, he was always talking to people and learning stuff. So that could be one big plus. We have some question here on our Twitter. This is from Oscar Montañez. He says, with Rafa taking over the sporting side of the club, what kind of transfer philosophy policy do you think he'll insist? Um, I mean, he's probably gonna still have that mindset of La Cantera being a priority, just like it was in Barcelona. In that time he was on Barcelona. I don't know what's gonna happen with that sports intelligence department. Has been criticized by the fans so much because they haven't brought that many good players. They have strike in so many of the players they've brought. But I think it's gonna be I don't know, a combination. And also, I think Rafa's gonna fight a little bit more when the selling all these canteranos at some point. Yeah, that always happens with Atlas. It's gonna happen at some point. I think Rafa's gonna fight a little bit better than the.
Yeah, to keep the actually good
Yeah,
players
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
team has. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I think Rafa's gonna prior his priority it's gonna be like looking more into offers from Europe.
yeah, I was watching an interview in ESPN which had Gustavo Guzman, the president of Atlas,
Yep.
and he told in that interview that he actually accept the fact that he doesn't know anything about soccer almost,
Yeah.
and he was that's why we brought Rafa because
Yeah, and it's one of the things. I mean, I don't know what's the deal with this man, but he he made this decision a little bit too late, I think, to have like a very a better perception from the fans. The perception from the fans from to Guzman is it's not the best at the
they
moment.
actually hate him.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, he brought this stuff to himself. I think, but by not knowing much about this kind of stuff, for example.
That's one of the topics
Yeah, I mean
he
it's
told that in that interview he was
and it's
talking.
good,
Rafa is gonna take care of all the football thing, and I'm gonna take care of the financial thing and the marketing thing, which is I think the
that's the most logical strategy, I think, and I mean it's
I
good
mean
that
he's
he
not
realized at some point that I mean
yeah
yeah, and I was gonna
he's
screw
not
this thing. I'm gonna bring another person that knows about the stuff more than I do, and I'm gonna back a little bit more. I'm gonna focus on other
I mean
stuff.
that man he's not where he is by being dumb. He's a very intelligent uh person, but he doesn't know that much about soccer.
Yeah, I mean that has been the thing with Atlas these past couple seasons. We're gonna close this episode with the preview of the Lobos versus Atlas game that's gonna be played on Saturday. It's gonna be played at 5 p.m. Mexico City time. There's not much history between Atlas and Lobos. They only have 4 games between them. Both Atlas and Lobos have won once, and they have 2 draws. The last game was Clausura 2018. Lobos won 3-1. The other Atlas visit to Lobos was in the Copa MX Apertura 2013. Atlas won 2-0 that game. It's gonna be it's gonna be a close game. Atlas won. I mean, just by history, I know Atlas is not gonna make things easier for themselves. Lorenzo Reyes is not gonna play on that game. We're probably gonna see Juan Pablo Vigon playing on that more defensive role that I think it's best suited for him. I would love to see Ricky Alvarez and Clifford Aboye playing at the same time. I think that midfield between Reyes, Aboye, and Alvarez could be the key to this season. And
I would like to have Bigon on Lorenzo Reyes' spot, not participating in the offensive.
yeah, I mean he can participate, but I think he's better suited to do a little bit more of defensive stuff than creating plays.
Yeah,
I
because
think.
he's really trying.
Yeah,
He gives everything every single game, but in this sport it's not enough to
Yeah.
just care about the team and run like hell all the
I mean,
game.
I mean, he could be suited better for another role. I mean, I don't know, coming off the bench, giving that spark with the stamina he has, the energy he has. I don't know. And
Well, I mean, yeah,
I mean that's one of the role I've always thought about Vigon, that 6 man, like basketball.
oh yeah, just supporting the defensive.
Yeah, I mean, bringing energy, counter attack plays. He's running up and down the field, but in the second half, I think he could be a vital piece for Atlas, not starting the game. I think.
I want to ask you a question. With Lobos, with playing Lobos at their home, are you ready for every
Oh, yeah.
every 10 minutes?
That's a very curious thing that happens at the Universitario of Puebla Stadium. Not like every 5 seconds, this annoying howling.
I want to keep track of how many.
Yeah, we could travel how many times this
They s-
howling sound.
it's
being
ridiculous.
heard
It's
on the
like
stadium.
corner kick out and free kick out.
Could get a little bit annoying if you're losing the match, I think. Lobos, so far in the Liga MX, they've lost both of their away games to Santos and Necaxa. Their only victory has come at the stadium playing Veracruz, who's really not that good. So it could be a close game. This could be the chance of Atlas to win their first game. They haven't won an away game in quite some time since. Yeah, the last away win was week 16, Apertura 2017, a 2-win versus Chivas
Jesus,
at their stadium.
that's a lot of time.
Yeah, that's November 2017. That's a little bit more than almost a year, I think. And yeah, it's Lobos is a weird team, I think. It's not a team people talk about that much. They have a mix of veteran players and some unknown foreigners. They're led by Coach Palencia. And yeah, I mean, the game's gonna be on Televisa, on Televisa Deportes network. That's gonna be on Saturday, 5 p.m. We're gonna end this Paradero Podcast edition with a quick reminder for all of you listeners to follow us on our social media accounts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find us as Paradero Boys, and also all the news and more in-depth stuff at www.paraderovoice.com. With my co-host Suku, this was your host Ramon. We'll see you next week.